One time for the one time.
Family bloodline.
That shit out. What's good people?
I need to hear it.
Welcome back to another episode of the Family Bloodline Podcast. We live tonight. It's gonna be a little bit of a different night. We're waiting for your girl wanted to hop on. She had a football game tonight. Diesel, tell us what happened with you tonight, man. We're gonna introduce our guest.
Yeah, baby girl homecoming. Fresh meat. She's a fresh meat at Gateway, So at homecoming tonight, I had to go over there and take pictures and do all the dad duties and all that. Wanted me to drop her off in my truck and all that good stuff. So it was a good night. Great night.
So
Hope she
tired.
having a great time as well.
And that's what matters. That's the part that matters. That's the part that matters. So
And keep them little mannish ass little boys away from her.
That's
My
the
bad.
problem with girls. Like with a little boy, you only got to worry about one dick on the block. With a little girl, you got to worry about them all. So
yeah,
Let them figure it out.
that's a good point. That's a good freaking point. I never
that's
thought
my
about
that's
it
my
like
grandpa
that.
used to tell me.
Let them figure
Golly,
it out.
I was about to eat my burger until you said that. You made me nervous about life, man. I don't know how to take
I should
that.
make you nervous about that.
I got girls, bro. That's tough. That's tough. But with that being said, let's go ahead and introduce our guests. Jimmy and Patrick, I'll let y'all introduce yourselves. And then Nate, you gotta hop on for a hot second just to because your name is up there, so you gotta do it, man.
Yeah. Go ahead, ladies first.
Patra B. I'm living in E-Town, Kentucky. And I don't know what I'm supposed to say about introducing myself, but
Who are you? What do you not so much what do you do, but a little bit of your background and
what do I do? So I'm a small town girl that decided to join the army when I wanted to broaden my horizons. And it hasn't disappointed me so far. It's been tough. It's challenged me, but it's made me who I am, which
Okay.
is a big deal. And I'm here and I'm dominating my career field. And I love it. That's who I am.
Oh yeah, round of applause to that.
You need to introduce yourself. Yeah.
come on, Nate.
Nate Dogg. I'm a soldier here on Fort Knox. Small town kid, but I lived on a farm, and I couldn't wait to leave, so that's why I joined the army. And now I miss farming because the army has totally broken me.
Got you.
But yeah, going through tough times right now.
Sorry, we got you.
Yeah.
We got you.
We can hug it out.
I am a hugger, so
Yeah, no, I'll hug it out. Like, listen,
We'll cruise it out.
Rounds of applause for Nate for sure. Jimmy, you ain't a new face, but go ahead and reintroduce yourself.
So I'm Jimmy. I know I've at least watched the podcast a few times. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. Currently living in Columbia, South Carolina. My background in education is in international relations and conflict resolution.
Which is crazy because he is not the conflict resolutionist.
It's funny because I am a pretty abrasive personality. However, I am really good at resolving conflict. But I like long walks on the beach and spending time with my dog Agador as well. I mean, my family as well, but like my dog's kind of the most important thing. Let's be honest. But yeah, so I'm currently stationed at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, where I am leading a company for the Special Warfare Center and School, training civil affairs and psychological operations soldiers.
That's Jimmy. Jimmy, you got a fan in the comments.
Oh, D Love. I see. Yeah, we're gonna be sharing a room in January. I don't want to. You know, I'm not the type to kiss and tell, but like, you know, the cruise.
The details.
Well, I mean, so Darnell Thomas. I mean, I'm just gonna say his name out loud, but
Yeah, you
like,
just
you
did.
know,
It's over.
so I replaced him in 2018 in California, and when he retired, there was all this uh, conjecture about what we're going to do for his retirement, because Darnell was he's a bold personality. He made a lot of friends, and I ended up coming up with the idea of like, hey, let's do a cruise, because then that way nobody would get lost, or at least if they get lost and they'll just die at sea. It'll be no big deal. Like, it'll be cool, right? But like, it'll be cheap. 3 days, we'll go and get drunk. It'll be great.
And
so we did it. And then it was a great time. We had like, what was it? 25 people, I think, showed up for the first one. And then about 4 months after the first cruise, because we did it over MLK Day weekend, which I think was appropriate because Darnell's black. And so, and, I mean, there are other black folks on the cruise too. So like, it made sense. But I think it was about 4 months after the first cruise, I saw the same cruise going out same weekend. And I kind of floated it to my wife. I'm like, hey, like, what if we did like a second annual Darnell Thomas retirement cruise? And to which my wife was just like, why the fuck wouldn't you do that? And so we did it. And G came on that one. G, me and Darnell shared a room where they made the most glorious Oreo cookie.
It was wonderful.
It was amazing. I was the
Absolutely
filling.
splendid.
And yeah, no, it's a whole thing. But then, I'm not the type of kiss and tell, but like this year, because like,
Hey,
I mean, it's out there now. So Darnell, sorry, your secret's out there, but like, it's tough because G's bigger than me. So right, so like, I have to be the little spoon when I'm around G. But like with Darnell, like, I'm bigger than Darnell. So I'm motherfucker's the little spoon, whether he likes it or not. So COVID screwed up the last two cruises, and this year we thought other people had booked. G actually was booked, but he had unfortunately some issues that prevented him from going. So Darnell and I show up at this cruise in South Carolina now versus Long Beach. We're the only two motherfuckers there. Like, it was just me and Darnell, and it was for like the first probably day and a half. I think everybody on that cruise ship thought Darnell and I were a couple. I mean, it's kind of cute, but like,
that's cute. Is it?
But like, I had to establish dominance because I'm like, I'm bigger, so like, I'm the top, right? Yeah. And he's a power bottom. So Darnell, I think, has forever been identified on that cruise as a power bottom. So I don't know if that's appropriate for this podcast.
Okay
this is an adult podcast.
Okay, as long as it's adult, yeah. Like, so Darnell, and I mean, love him, right? Like, I mean, if I was black by injection, because I spent time in county.
Absolutely.
Darnell is now white by injection. So
boom, got it.
Kissing and telling, Darnell. Sorry, brother.
So another actual truth of that story is we all served together in California for an extended amount of time. Darnell and Jimmy have known each other for a long amount of time. As a matter of fact, if memory serves me right, because of the specific job skill that they have, they've often crossed paths, and it was by luck and fate that we all crossed paths at the same time. And I don't think I think a lot of things don't come into alignment with us sometimes, because when we get together, a lot of people get fucked up. It's a lot that happens.
So it's interesting, right? Because now that I'm at the age where I have a daughter in the Army, and I think we kind of touched on it earlier. Like, we were talking about like relationships in the Army, right? Like, or in the military in general. Like, you build these relationships and these bonds with people that you were only stationed with like maybe 3 or 4 years at a time.
Mm-hmm.
You get super close, and you may go 4, 5, 6, 7 months, maybe a year or two without talking to these people after you leave. but when you come back together, it's like nothing changed.
Like you
right?
never left. Right.
Last time I saw you actually was in February for the Super Bowl because I went back to Mountain View to visit my wife.
Yeah, that's right.
And it was like nothing changed.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, like we went to Jason's house, watched Super Bowl, and then like I remember taking a picture, like G was sitting on the couch. I came up behind him, like put my arms around him, like gave him a kiss, right? Took like a selfie and sent it to my wife.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Of course you're doing that, right?" Like, but you know, it's you create these bonds, and it's it's a brotherhood. It's a brother and sisterhood, right? Like you become family with these people. And I think like, and it's funny because with Darnell, like I'd heard his name because in the job that we have in the Army, it's a very small community, but so I'd heard his name, but I never met him face to face. And because like what stuck out was his middle name was Love, right? Like, so like that is a very specific middle name. But when I finally met him, it was like we just instantly just kind of like bonded, right? And Darnell was just like, "Oh, we got to take you out. I'm gonna show you all this stuff." And there's you could have an entire separate podcast about like Darnell and his ability to drink. And
you gotta bring him on.
It's just
he's been on before. We didn't talk about that specific thing, but maybe that becomes a thing one day.
His liver is like Wolverine's liver.
Either that or raisins.
Like I mean, like
hey, G, check to make sure that the mute button ain't on them. Just because, I mean, I just see the mic up there and they look pointing, and then he had the same little icon up there. So
say that one more time.
Like I got a mute. They got that like a mute, like that mic is muted, but icon. Okay. Just wanted to make sure. Okay, just tripping off that. It just caught my attention. Got you.
I lost my train of thought, but ultimately, right? Like I immediately bonded with Darnell. I immediately bonded with G. Like and since then, like even though we're like, I mean, I'm 6.5 hours from him now, and like I found out he bought a place up here, and I'm like, yo, I'm coming up the first opportunity I have, right? So I drove up today after my students had ACFT because I want to see, my homeboy, right? Like, so I would 100% consider him family, for sure, right? Like, and I mean, and I think we talk more than whether via text or on the phone, at least once a month, once every couple weeks. So
easily,
which I think is I think that's rarer in the Army, right? Like, I think like in the 27 years I've been in the Army, I can count on probably one hand the amount of people that I talk to on a regular basis in that group, right? Like you, probably Darnell.
But I'm in the group that's in the hand.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to be sure.
I've been. Well, I mean, you've had your hand on other places too, right? But that's again for a different time.
Yeah. And that's the thing about it is when we get assigned to different units and different places across the country geographically.
Yeah.
And we find people who connect with us and you nurture those relationships and they last a lifetime.
Yeah.
Regardless of where you're at or the circumstances, we can always come together. Even if we haven't seen each other in a year or two, we can come back together. Or 3, like
it's been a while since we've seen each other. It's been a while.
I called you the other day and I was like, hell yes.
Yeah.
Like I know you. I mean, not to be weird, but like I love you. I feel you on a level. Like we connect, and I'm glad to reconnect. And that's how it is. And I don't know if it translates to a civilian sector, but on the military side, like
I don't think it does.
I don't think it does. I mean,
you find your group and
I think it does resonate. Like me, I'm a union construction worker. I spend 60 hours a week with these same group of guys. You know what I'm saying? The same full of guys every day. We tell each other about it. They know my family just like I know theirs. Like it's a mutual bond. We make sure we make it home safe. You know what I'm saying? In other terms, you know what I'm saying? So we understand. You know what I'm saying? It's a different level for y'all, but it's the same in workspace. You know what I'm saying? It's unity.
and like I mean, like you said, like being in the union. Like I used to be in the Glazers union years ago when I was like
Okay.
in the reserves in Philadelphia. And you're right, 100%. Like in cases like that in the civilian world, like when I was in the union, like I knew everybody who was in the Glazers union, right? Like regardless whether they lived in Philly or they lived in Pittsburgh, like you just knew everybody because it was such a small community.
Okay.
And very much the same. Like as a matter of fact, like we found out tonight, like we actually went to the same school
Yeah.
in 2019. Like she's like, did you go to this course in 2019? I'm like, oh shit, yeah, that's where I know you from. Like,
school.
because I thought I knew her from someplace, but like I thought tonight was the first time I was meeting her. But like it's such a small world that like you run into her. But unions are very much so like that, and that's why I loved being in the union, is because you did have that sense of community, that sense of family, right? Like people were there to take care of each other.
And
Yeah.
that's our number one thing is preach safety first, so you making sure that your comrade making it back home every night, you know what I'm saying, to them families, and then we bitching and complaining at 5 o'clock in the morning, like we doing it again, but
Yeah. No, I dated someone in the trades, not specifically the union, because
He was a
it's
scab.
weird out in the Pacific
Scab.
Northwest, but
Scab.
they know people in the field,
Scab.
and that's
You
how it
just
goes.
say scab. Just say scab.
He's a scab.
He's a scab.
He's a scab. If you're not union, you're a scab.
Yeah.
If you're not
Okay.
union, you're a scab in that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they wanted to be union, but it's that career field where you recognize the people that you're working with, and you're all in there for a communal goal, and everyone recognizes how hard it is. But at the end of the day, regardless of how hard the job is, we all need a work-life balance. And that's what the real issue is here. That's what the real thing is that we got to work on, is the work-life balance and coming together at the end of the day to collaborate and support each other and be there. Because like work, yeah, that's real, but our real lives outside of work is what really brings us together, because we can all relate on each level. And it's there.
Well, man. So let's we've introduced the guests. We've had a pretty live evening thus far. Did some cooking, some eating, hanging out, reconnecting. It's been a great time so far. It really has. So
Have you started?
I'd like to
Pretty much.
Dirk, let me ask you this, because I don't want to move past this without touching base. Like, how was your week, Cuzzo?
the week was fabulous, man. The week was good. I actually had to it rained here, so I actually had the last couple days off. So just
Okay.
been chill. Been great
All right.
time.
Now, where are you at? Are you in St. Louis?
St. Louis.
Yeah, I'm in St. Louis, correct.
Born and raised. That's where we are.
Go Cubs.
Not today, Satan.
What was that? What was that? I didn't hear that.
He false flagging. I don't know what happened. He been drinking. That's
I was just shit talking St. Louis. I love St.
Nah,
Louis.
it's all great.
So hopefully Wanda is able to hop on later on. I know again, high school had a homecoming, and she's got kids that go to the school. Dirt, you hopped on by the skin of your teeth also almost. So get it, got it, and we're gonna keep pushing. So Wanda introduced the topic during our meeting Tuesday, and nobody has heard what the topics are tonight. So this is going to be a bit of a shocker to them also, and I did that because I love first reactions, right? To rock you back on your heels a little bit. We talked about it a little bit during the meeting, but we didn't get to push everything out that we wanted to. So I am going to read everybody the actual scenario, right? And we will push forward from there. All right. So here is the reading that we talked about a few days ago. And it goes like this. My wife thinks that I'm being petty, but I think she's crossing the line and disrespecting me. She has kids from a previous relationship, and we have a child together. Since her kids were little, their father would pick them up every other weekend and take them. Now that our youngest child is 5, he wants to take him too.
Oh.
I told her no. She didn't think it was a big deal since she feels he's responsible. I don't understand why he needs to have a relationship with our child. He's not extended family. He is simply the father uh, of her kids, and I'm setting the boundaries. She thinks I'm being childish and letting my ego take over. I think it's disrespectful of her to even ask me. Uh, she should have shut this shit down. It would be different if he was my son's stepdad, but he's her ex. I'm standing my ground on this one. I know I'm not wrong.
I would argue against that.
Why?
Ooh, me too.
So
You too?
So
You
I'll say
too?
that.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
I'm taking
So,
Oh
well,
wow!
I'm
Here
taking
we
the
go.
heat. I'm
Let's
taking
get
the
into it.
Let's go.
Well,
let's
so I'll say
hear it.
this. So I have a son, Logan, right, from my
Okay.
first marriage. And
Good guy. Miss you,
yeah,
Logan.
Good. Like, both my kids are my best accomplishment, right? Like, as human being, thank God they didn't turn out to be shitbags. But like, so Logan, right? So the story between Logan's mom and me is, I went to Iraq in 2003 for the invasion, and she went off and did her thing. We ended up getting divorced. It was messy. We got through it, but ultimately, like, I wish my ex-wife the best because she's the father of my, or she's the mother of my son. Right? So, but she has got remarried, and she's currently going through a divorce with that man. But Logan has a half brother, and who is about to be 15, and Logan's stepdad was not a fan of me, which I thought was petty, right? Like I've tried to be a good dude.
Okay.
I'm with you.
I'm Logan would argue that I'm a good dad as well, but so in this case, right, like they're going through divorce. There's a bit of some turmoil with that relationship between now Logan's half brother and his biological dad, Logan's stepdad. I go to the Indy 500 every year with my kids. And I know that Logan's brother is having a tough time with the fact that his parents are getting divorced. And so I've got a 7th ticket for the Indy 500. And I said, hey, man, why don't you bring your brother Connor? You shouldn't have said his name, but why don't you bring him to the Indy 500?
Okay.
Right? Like, bring him along. I'd love to have him. Right? Like, I think in this case, Logan's stepdad would probably be petty and be like, F Jimmy, like, he's a shitty guy or whatever. But ultimately, like, the people that are important to my son are important to me.
Sure.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
All right.
Like, and I've told, like,
Yeah,
and
That's
I
man
remember
right there.
guy, right? My biological son, the guy, my son that I have a very good relationship with, that I've been involved in his life, forever. I remember telling this guy at my son's high school graduation, like, hey man, like, regardless of what you think of me, like, I want you to know that I appreciate you being there for my kid.
Yeah.
Like, because like he wouldn't have gotten here without your influence, right? Like, without you being here as well. So like, regardless of our differences, like, I appreciate you. And in this case, right, like, I know that my son's little brother is important to him. And so in my mind, like, the Indy 500 is something that started with, like, some extended, very close friends of mine, kind of like, friend family type thing. So to me, it's like a no brainer. Like, why wouldn't I bring this kid in?
Yeah.
Like, why would, like, as a matter of fact, hell, if his dad wants to come, his dad can come.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I want them to be a part of that because, like, in my opinion, I will extend the love, right, that I give to my son to whoever he loves, right? Because that's just
Understandable.
what he does, right? So I think that in this case, now, I mean, it's a little bit different, right? I think I think if you have another, positive male role model that your kid can look up to, like, why would you deny that, right? And I told my son the same thing. Like, even when the guy that my wife lived with, or my ex-wife lived with, like, after after I got back from Iraq, right? Like, his name was Jeremy. We had, we butted heads a little bit, but like ultimately Jeremy and I are really good friends now. He and my wife aren't together, but like, I've told Jeremy multiple times, and I actually, like, when I go to New York to stay, to visit my son, I stay at Jeremy's house.
Oh,
yeah, like we're friends, we're boys, right? Like, and
okay.
I've told him, like, he's like, hey, I'd really like to see Logan. I'm like, absolutely, you can see Logan. Like, this guy who wasn't even like married to my ex-wife, right? Like, help coach my son's like soccer team, like. So, and I've told Logan, I'm like, I have no issues with you having a relationship with Jeremy, right? Like, if he was a positive male influence in your life, nurture that relationship. Go have dinner with him. With that dude.
So you're not worried about the ex trying to steal or influence your child in another way, anything?
I mean, I'll say this: like, now that my son's an adult, right? Like my son's 24 now, but like, and there was a line I had to at least I tried not to cross when my son was younger, right? Like, I never ever, and my son will vouch for me, right? Like, I never said, and to this day, I will never say a negative thing about my ex-wife. The way I paint that picture is like, we had
bless your heart.
We got.
I want to my kids, but
Cut it out. Cut it out.
But it's important, right? Like, I'll say this:
Sure.
like,
No, it's important.
when you're divorced when you're divorced, right? Like, it's important that your kids know that you don't hold any ill will towards
absolutely.
their mother,
Yeah,
right?
I can
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like,
don't choose sides.
You can't choose sides.
Yeah,
you have to try to be like, hey, like, we had our differences, and then the way I paint that picture is like, we got married young, but now as he's gotten older, he's heard the stories about his mom, and he knows what his mom did while I was in Iraq. But and I tell him, look, man, like, your mom made her choices. I wish her the best. I don't wish
right. Like
person
like
to
and
develop.
now, don't get me wrong. There was a point where I'm like, I hope that bitch gets into my fucking brain.
But you don't want to influence that person.
Yeah. I mean, of course, there were those times I'm like, man, if I
let them know the facts. Because they are now an adult, and you let them decide how they feel about and they will figure it out. And they will figure it out because you raised them right. You made sure they were raised right, and they will figure it out.
But regardless of all that, right? Like, my son knows I love him. Like, I'm not threatened by any other man who's going to be a positive, because having had multiple positive male influences in my life other than
we got something. We got a comment. What you got, Dirt?
No, just because you spoke on your son being older. I was saying, in this situation, the child is 5 years old.
Yeah.
How you feel about your 5-year-old?
So again, you as long as you can articulate that to your kid, right, at a 5-year level, right? Like, like, my son always knew that I was his dad, right? And there was nothing that's ever going to change that. And he'll say that to this day. But like, even at 5 years old, like, what's the harm of like your half brother's dad taking you along on a trip?
That there is an issue with that, but I'm a pause my opinion.
No, I mean,
So we haven't let Patra speak. So did I say that right? Because I have a problem with butchering names. So
I don't even know what the fuck
Let
she got.
me put in my 2 cents here. So I joined the Army as a single mom. Not many people know about that, but I was a single mom when I joined the Army. I was
pull the mic down some, because
I was
there you go.
like 18, 19 years old, and I had a baby boy. The dad was I don't want to speak bad on him, all right? Because the child is still alive. Clearly. But I made the choice because the Army is demanding. My family my aunt and uncle were very accepting and decided to adopt him at a young age. He was like 3 years old when they adopted him. So, and the child's father went ahead and did his own thing. And I want my child, the child that I birthed into this world, knowing what the other side has to offer, whatever. Anyway, I believe if that child has a relationship with their siblings, that's what they're going to grow on and develop from, regardless of the feelings I have for that child's father.
Sure.
And if it is a positive experience, I will embrace that. If that child wants to, I mean, today he's 17 and he's doing great, and I'm about that. But if he wants to include his siblings in his life, I'm about that life. Like, go ahead and do that, because you're going to outlive me. And whatever bad experience I've had with your biological father, like, that doesn't matter to that child's life.
Yeah.
Like, my personal feelings aren't relevant to
Oh
my
shit, we got a
son's
guess. My
development.
motherfucker right here.
And if he wants to grow in his life with his biological siblings, I am all for that, as long as it's not hampered by the decisions that other parental field, like,
Okay.
siblings. Okay, look, I have siblings, okay? And like, if it wasn't, and we don't get along with our parents, like, no one does.
I do.
Well, at this point in your life, right? Like, because we're older,
Don't look at me like
but,
that, Jimmy.
but let's face it, like, my biological child is 17, and as a teenager, do you really get along with your parents? If you did, that's great. Like,
My
good
kids
for
got along
you.
great with me.
Good. That's
Yes, it
phenomenal.
can happen.
But realistically, like, I remember when I was 17 and I wanted other 17-year-olds to relate with me and grow from, okay? Like, my peers.
There go my girl.
So if he can find his peers to help him develop, especially if they're his siblings, that's all that matters. And as long as that your ex isn't introduced, like, isn't
Isn't
like,
being a negative influence.
yes, exactly. Like, let's do it.
Okay,
Let's do
so
it.
so
I'll encourage you,
let's put some brakes on it. Let's put some brakes on it real quick.
because your siblings are gonna outlive me,
Sure.
and you're gonna need them in the end of days.
All
That's
right.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
I hate my baby daddy. I hate him.
We
to the
didn't
end of
need
the
to know
world.
that, but we appreciate that. Thank you
But
for
I'm
being
just
honest
saying,
and open
at
and
the end of the
relevant.
day, my child needs his siblings, because I need my siblings, and I get that. That's it. As long as they're good influences. As long as they're good influences. As long as they're good influences.
Tom is silly as hell. Tom is silly as hell. First off, let me welcome the first lady of the podcast back in, Wanda Rella.
Oh, hey, Wanda.
Hey, what's going on, Cuzzo? Thank you for
Hello.
had a little bit of a traumatic experience tonight.
Oh, God.
Not for me. I'm good. I got
Hey,
my
did you
purse.
hear that? He asked me to wash his back in the shower. So, like,
Oh, he
the
gonna
fact that
do
he
it.
made
He
it-
gonna do it.
yeah,
It's my cell.
the fact that he asked me in the shower with him is his fault. Because
Flo,
it became
you
traumatic, it got
Let,
nothing to do
let's
with
get to our special guest as well. You know,
Absolutely. So another person that I'm finna unmute real quick is my guy, my square, my cable toe, Flo, Lashante LaFleur. I just want to make sure everybody knows who Flo is. He's a professional bodybuilder. We'll have him on at another time for another different topic. Not to skip over Wanda at all. So just wanted to introduce him real quick. Juan, what was you about to say? Give me a second, Square.
What were we talking about?
Just seeing how you was doing. I know the great debacle didn't affect you much, but
I'm just in the car waiting on him to come back.
we talking about your topic as well.
yeah, we on your
We
topic
on
right
your topic,
from Tuesday.
and so far, Jimmy and Patrick agree with
You.
Because where's the problem?
We'll get to that in a second. We skipped over the NFL picks because we got a lot of people that was trying to push in on this. So that's where we are right now.
I mean, I'm just trying to figure out where the
what
problem
was her topic? What was her topic that you guys were speaking
right
of?
now? What we're talking about right now. That was her. So the whole situation and scenario that I read, the podcast favorite homegirl Wanda is the one who actually introduced it to us, and that's why we started talking. We met on it about Tuesday.
It is.
Did you LaFleur, did you hear it? Did you you know the topic? Okay,
So
he's behind. So
let me read it again real quick just to remind everybody who's just joining of the situation and scenario that we're talking about. And I'll go through it a little bit faster this round than what I did last time, but just listen to what I'm saying. Because I know Nate Dogg is in the background. I've seen him poised. He wasn't gonna get on camera, but it looks like he wants to at this point because it seems like it's resonating with him. But let me read it again real quick. So this is the topic. My wife thinks that I'm being petty, but I think she's crossing the line and disrespecting me. She has kids from a previous relationship, and we have a child together. Since her kids were little, their father would pick them up every other weekend and take them. Now that our youngest child is 5, he wants to take him too. Him being the ex. All right, just to clarify that. I told her no. She did not think it was a big deal since she feels he's responsible, he being the ex. I don't understand why he needs to have a relationship with the ex. He's not extended family. He is simply the father of our kids, and I'm setting boundaries. She thinks I'm being childish and letting my ego take over. I think it's disrespectful for her to even ask me. Should she have shut that shit down? It should, or it would be different if he was my son's stepdad, but he's her ex. I'm standing my ground on this. I know I'm not wrong. There's a timeout being called.
Can I just say, I'm playing the child's part on this, and
no, you cannot just say that or be that because you're not the child.
We adults tonight.
Yeah, we adults and we drinking. We can't go back in time. We whole ass adults that pay bills. We can't go
whole ass adulting.
When I was a child, I wanted to be a fucking transformer.
Right.
Well,
my decision making.
I wanted to be Michael Jackson. I wanted to be Michael Jackson and all of the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, we can't go back and be the child. We can only speak. Today. We can only speak from where we are right now.
But because I just. If that 5-year-old child sees it sounds like 2 siblings.
It's more than 2.
It's more than 2. Yeah. He sees everyone else then. Sure. In his little world. He's 5 years old.
Hold that thought. I know where you're going with that. We're gonna get to that in a second. Because
you haven't got the resonate. You haven't got the spirit your being yet.
I don't need. I don't need.
Tuesday, I agree with Jimmy now. I was on their side. I agreed with them. I was like, because I told you the situation I had with my daughters, and you was like, that's different. And I thought you were saying it was different because hearing it from a father having daughters versus a father having sons. What we just heard with Jimmy. You know what I'm saying? So I really would like to get your thoughts, Mr. LaFleur. If you got anything you want to chime in on, now that you've heard it, get with us. Get with us.
Come on, Flo.
Get with us.
All right, so
the queen.
When you, so the can you hear me?
Yeah, but before you say anything, Flo, what happened to your truck?
What?
Oh goddamn! He talking about the 63rd truck, bro.
All right, okay, I'm back.
Truck was sitting in that parking lot.
That truck somewhere in downtown San Jose at a trap house now.
I told you I'd give him $100,000.
That's a whole nother topic for another time.
Hey, so I mean, me being a dad and almost in a similar situation, if the kid, if that's an ex, regardless if she has children with him or not, this is just me as a dad. My son can't go with his siblings. My son can't go with his siblings and their father. If I'm the one that lives in the house This is the way. What he does with his boys is his business. What I do with
Right,
mine
right,
is mine, and I'm
right
going
there.
to groom and culture mine the way that I want to.
What do you
Now, being
Hold
that
on,
if the
hold on.
individual if the
Let me
individual who resides in the house, if the individual who resides in the house uh, has the other spouse's kids, I mean, hell, he's the one at the loss and can't do X, Y, Z because his paying.
Oh, God damn it, Flo, you're
he
cooking.
back, he back, he with us.
Oh, you was
Yep.
back and then you left. And then you left. Come on back, Flo, because I need
So
you
so
to
piggyback off of that, Jig, until he come back.
So
I
okay.
think. Oh, go ahead, Wanda. You there with us? Go ahead, cuz.
So
I,
basically, since I missed it, I'm just gonna tell y'all my stance on it.
Yeah.
I think that he is being petty and his ego is crushed. I also feel like if it's okay for go to the left, baby. Uh, if it's okay for you to take your baby around your new chick, cause we know how many side chicks y'all done had when y'all taking them kids around them.
It's not the same thing.
yeah,
But it's definitely the same thing. If you can take if your kid.
Okay, but go ahead, because go ahead, I'm listening.
Talk
Cause
your
if
talk,
you
cuz.
can
Go
take
talk
if
your
you can
talk.
take my baby around your new girl and be like, oh, it's fine, then I can like why can't he take the baby? And he's asking not only did he ask permission because he's have
Yeah.
his other siblings. What
Okay.
if something happened to both of y'all and he want to keep them with his siblings? Don't you think that that's important?
yeah.
The siblings. They're
Okay.
gonna outlive all of us.
So don't get me wrong. And I think I can piggyback a little bit. I think my mic is a little bit too loud. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit. But I think I can piggyback a little bit off of what Flo was saying.
You with us, LaFleur? You with us?
And the reason why
Keep going out.
Mm-mm.
is I'm the reason why is so I don't disagree that the children should be able to spend time with each other from one location to the next, right? But what I don't agree with is allowing the ex to become a part of my
No.
circle and my family.
Well,
I
Why
gotta
not?
I
Why
get it.
not?
We
calm
get
down
it.
over there.
The
Let me
ex.
see. Let me
Calm
see. He done
That's
down.
wait. He
that's
done waited a
crazy.
long
Why not be a whole
time.
tribe? Why not be a unit? That's
I
He
am.
crazy
done
to me.
waited a long time. Let him talk.
Now,
Oh
He
my
get
God.
to
Okay.
now,
it. Look at you, boy.
there
Like, oh
are
my
times
god.
right, where I would be completely fine with my child going with the ex and their siblings with no issues, right?
Mhm.
But for this to become a consistent behavior and habit, that's the problem.
Hold on.
Because
Hold
no, no,
on.
no, 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 no.
I just want to add.
Go
I just
ahead.
want to add because it's not the child singularly with the ex.
But it is.
But that's not what I'm about
But that's where I
because
think
that's toxic.
that's a
You want
part.
to chime
If
in?
you say
If
it's
the
toxic,
sibling
if you say
that
it's
this
toxic, you have
child,
to specify the behavior that encompasses toxicity,
right,
right? So don't
right,
give me the general description of toxic. Give me the actual behavior or the characteristics from the behavior
it's
that become toxic.
Well,
okay.
and so I would argue this, right? Like, so you make a good point, right? Like,
Yes,
I think at that point, right, as a father, right, it becomes a personal thing, right? Like,
Absolutely.
I
as a
think that,
mother,
and in my opinion, right, I think just because of the way I grew up, right, like I had multiple positive male influences in my life, other
Hmm.
than because my dad wasn't one, right? So in my case, I'm okay with it. Now, I understand that my son's half brother's dad
Yeah.
may not be okay with that. From my view, right, I think that he is being narrow minded, right?
Sure.
Like, I think that, you know, again, like I said, right, like, why wouldn't you allow your child to have that experience? But as a father, right, like, I could see, like, because even with my son, right, like, I would be lying if I said that there wasn't some jealousy when it came.
Absolutely.
But again, but you have to think about it. Like, you, as a father,
Mhm.
right? I gotta get over myself.
Yep.
My son knows I'm his dad. like knows I'm his dad, right? Like knows I'm his father. I'm the dude, right?
Yeah.
I had to get over that shit. I had to get over the fact that like there might be another guy that my son admires.
But just with us saying that, we're agreeing with what Wanda's saying with his whole testament and his whole reason I'm putting my foot down is because of his pride, his ego. And I was trying to dispel to her that it wasn't about our ego, it was just about, you know what I'm saying? But
And
it,
so
it
I
is
went.
it is if we all feel that way.
Mhm. But I went and got my hair cut a couple of days ago, and my barber said a very like similar thing to what y'all are saying. Is like, well, I think the guy is a little bit prideful, and he should let the kid go. But what I can't distract, like, I have to extract some things from these various movements, and the things that I have to extract, priority is my influence on my child. So I absolutely agree with my child being able to hang out with their siblings, right? And understand that I'm a direct influence on the siblings also.
Mhm.
But I also know that that parent has to have his influence on their siblings at the same time. But with my child, maybe I do need to take a few days to go to a batting cage. Just my child and I. Maybe I do need to take a few days with my child just to sit down and play video games.
Yes.
Maybe I do need to
Yes.
take just a little bit of time. Like hear me out. Hear me out because it's not actually ego. It really isn't. It's me simply wanting to care for my child
Quality time.
No,
properly.
no,
Yes.
so
Yes.
and I
Counteract
yeah,
all the bullshit.
I think you're right, but at the same time, right there,
Kids are dumb.
well,
I agree with that.
Kids are
Kids are
dumb.
fucking stupid.
well, kids.
I mean,
are,
they can be.
yeah.
Yes, I love
What
kids.
age
We
group
were
are you talking
kids.
about?
I was the
Because
children.
mine's
I was
17.
stupid.
He's not fucking dumb. He
Well-
gets it. He understands.
But I think the more important thing to look at in this aspect, right, is as a father, right? I think it's important to show kids that you can get over that shit, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
you know,
Yes.
and
Yeah,
so
yes,
you know,
yeah.
and I think if I had to have that conversation with my son's half brother's dad, I would. I think the way that conversation would go, like, listen, man, like you're his dad.
Bill said that a long time ago. He said about I seen that in the comments. He came up, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I agree with that statement. There is a conversation that needs to be had
Yeah,
amongst
no,
them.
but I think if that
Yeah.
conversation would be had, like, listen, man, like, I know you're his dad. Like, I'm not trying to change that.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to do here by taking your son with me and his brother, not his half brother, his brother, right,
Yes.
to the Indy 500 is to show him like what we do.
Yeah.
Like what his
Sure.
brother is a part of, right?
Yeah.
Like
Life can
what
be.
his relationship is with his dad.
Yeah.
See, that's
Right.
what you was afraid of, what his life can be, as
What
opposed
his
to
No,
no.
I'm not saying what his life can be, but just like what, like this is what your brother has with his dad, right? Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that you need to have that with your dad, but this is what we have, right? This is something that you can be a part of because as a man, right? Like I care for the people that are important to my, like I said before, the people that are important to my son are important to me,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
So, and conversely, if my son is like, hey, I'm gonna go hang out with Jeremy for the weekend, I'm gonna I'm gonna go camping with Jeremy.
But
Cool,
Jeremy
bro.
does drugs
Yeah,
with
but-
bad kids.
No.
on the weekend.
Well, I need to meet Jeremy's parents.
Right.
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 Well, Jeremy was a positive influence. Jeremy was dating his mom. Jeremy was the guy that was dating his mom when I came back from Iraq, right?
All right.
Like, so, like, if he were to tell me, like, hey, man, like, I'm gonna go, camping with Jeremy and go deer hunting or whatever, like, cool,
I'm
man.
gonna vet these people.
Have fun, because Jeremy and I are cool, right? Like, I met Jeremy.
y'all getting me off the fence. I mean, y'all putting me on the fence. I was on the other side at first. Y'all putting me on the fence.
Stop.
Cause see, like,
I mean, I'm just saying, like,
y'all putting me on the fence. I got twin boys. So
even like Jeremy's parents.
Wait,
like
how do
it's
you tell
it's
them
okay
apart?
for Jeremy to see, like, you know, me and Jimmy, we're competent adults because we
correct.
choose lifestyle choices,
You're competent.
and it's okay. Stop. No, stop. We
I'm
are.
not.
We
I'm
are.
not competent.
We are. We are. We are. Clearly, we are. Because look at where you are in life. We're good. We're good. And we still have a good time. And so, and like, children are my weakness. Okay. So that's might be why I'm like a little bit more sensitive with this, because children are a fucking weakness. And I'm gonna
Hey,
be the
But
children
but
of the
but
brother,
future.
but this
Well,
this this
I mean,
this is what I
I've
was.
been seeing
he
you,
said
man.
it best, but like, especially like, I hate my fucking ex. Like, I hate them
We got that
with a
from the first round.
completely passionate feeling, which is
But
legitimized.
let's not
But
get caught up on that.
I'm
Let's
not.
you,
I'm
we
So
gotta
not.
we gotta
Because
push
there's a
so
past
child
that.
involved,
all
and
right.
that doesn't call the child at all.
Right.
Like, his life, the child's life is more important. So I'm gonna put that aside and realize, like I said a minute ago, like, the child and his siblings are gonna outlive me.
No,
So
it's
as
not.
I
That's right.
can
Yeah.
represent what a healthy adult relationship looks like, that's all that matters. And if
So
they
so
want,
okay. Good. I don't mean because I just
So
want
here's the
I want
thing. What the thing was
really
stating
wonder.
was the guy is responsible. He's
Okay.
an upstanding person
Sure.
who wants his siblings to also be able to hang with their half sibling
Mhm.
right,
Right.
and be, and just be siblings. Now they can't do that because dad has issues with his ego.
Ah, man, I don't
dad,
know.
the ego aside,
Yeah.
And
dad needs
dad
to,
cannot do that because he's too busy trying to have a pissing sword contest with the ex for no reason.
No,
no.
It's
it's
not.
not.
It's not. It's this right here, G. Let me just say this right here. Let me answer this because he
Hang
said,
it.
couldn't both the fathers agree? And at one point I was on board with that. With listening to the conversation go on and on, it's like I so like this.
Get your hot
Uh,
sauce
they
and different
Jimmy
sauces
take
for the
my son. Jimmy take my son to the Indy 500.
Yeah,
All my son life. You know what I'm saying? He's been influenced by basketball. You see what I'm saying? So I'm taking him all the basketball events. We playing basketball, but he go one time and he see these cars and he is so influenced. And we know it with kids. Kids are, man. I put my kids in so many different sports. Kids will pick up a sport one day, next week they like that's your trash. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, I'm cool on that. I've invested my money into basketball, but now you want to play soccer. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it is with.
um,
Yes. No. Right. But give me a second. Give me a second. Wanda, was you finna say something?
no, I'm just listening.
All right. So Nate, what you got, man? What you got
Well,
anything?
I'll say
All
this.
right.
I don't think so. Ultimately, right? Like, if that dad is uncomfortable, right? Maybe it's the tree hugger liberal in me,
Sure.
right? But like, who am I to say like his feelings aren't valid, right? As a father,
the dad's feelings.
yeah. Like, listen, like if
Okay.
that's what the dad like, if the dad has a hard time with it, then like maybe respect that and try to work it out a different way, right?
That's
Sure.
all. That's what I
Like,
said at the beginning.
like I get it, he's 5, but like maybe have the conversation of like, listen, like this is his brother, this is his sibling, right? Like, and this man, right, is not a shitty person. Like, we had our differences, we got divorced, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And he just wants to have a positive experience, not influence, experience.
That would be the difference, right?
Right?
That's the difference. That's what I was. That's what. No, it's the same goddamn thing.
Yeah.
So
So
my son finna experience something different from what you know. What I'm saying he
Y'all
experienced
making
in the
it
house.
seem like this man is trying to replace you, and that's not what
No,
he's
no,
trying
no.
to do.
No,
It's
He's
no, no,
just
no,
it's
no,
trying to
not
no.
create an experience
it's
for
not
the
a
children.
It's
correct.
not. It's
It's not a
based.
replacement, but it's like we speaking on. It's an experience.
Yeah,
It's something totally different. So like I say, my son been infatuated with basketball, and all of a sudden he go to a Indy 500. Now he want to do cars. They don't know the first thing about goddamn cars, but the ex does. You see what I'm saying? So how does that affect the relationship between?
it doesn't, right? Because
It
I'm
doesn't.
always open. I'm open to learning from my kids, right? If my kids are
But your
interested,
son has to learn from another influence that
that's
you.
well, our kids are
So
going to go to school,
That's
right?
they get
so.
influenced and learn from other people every day at school. What are you
Yeah,
Yeah.
saying?
because our kids go to school, they learn from
You
other
know what I'm
people.
saying about.
I'm okay with learning something different from my child and then taking the time to go and research it, right? But what I'm not okay with, and this is what it
Is
sounds like.
another man doing it?
Well,
I'm
No,
trying.
this
I'm trying to. I'm trying to listen to. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead,
this is
Jig.
what it sounds like. To be honest with you, right? The 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 lazy ass ex or the lazy ass spouse, right? Not taking the time to nurture the same, putting importance on the relationship because it's easy to have your kids away. It's easy for your kids not to be there. It's easy for your kids not to be in the house and shit get quiet. It's easy for people to say, "Hey, just let me just throw my kids out. Just there, let that motherfucker take them. Let them take them,
So
right?"
you're not worried about the influence no more.
It's not so much that I'm not
well,
worried
No,
about
no,
the
no, no. Tuesday,
it's,
you was
it's
worried
not
about the influence. So I'm,
no,
I'm, I'm
it's not so
asking.
much that
Yeah.
I'm not because I have to be the first influence with my kids, right?
Okay.
But I'm still also open to being able to let my kids influence me also, right? You have to be that. You have to be a reciprocating type of entity,
Yeah.
right? So
It
that
ain't a
so
one way street. You got you.
yeah, it's not a one-way street. It's a relationship.
Right.
But when I see that it becomes an easy way out for the ex to get some free time, and then you're subverting my influence on my child by simply saying, "Oh, this motherfucker responsible. Just let him go." No, 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 no. No, I'm not finna just let my
well,
child go to anybody.
yeah.
I don't even like my kids being going. I don't like my, and this is a personal thing, and this is real life. I don't even like my kids going to public school and being taught by other people the shit that especially when it comes to history.
Agreed.
I want to teach my kids history first, and then let them be in, like come into contact with other people and let it go from there. So yeah, by all means, baby, go and have your experience, but don't forget your foundation. And if your foundation is moved and you find something different, or if you see what I'm saying is wrong, or you
You
find
think
something
your
else
child
to
being
go with,
gone for a weekend or so with somebody else, your child gonna forget you?
No,
have
it's
gotten
not.
wrapped up being
It's
a
not
ninja.
the. It's
I
not.
watched
It's
it
man. It's
when I
not
was
the weekend.
It still, to me, I'm just
in
gonna be honest. It still sounds very childish.
no.
Okay.
Somebody bring me some goddamn drink.
I don't think it's outside. Like I say, it resonates. And like I say, I'm not down with. I'm not against my child having a new experience. But if it's something that I can't resonate with or something that's totally against what we doing, I don't give a damn how many YouTube videos you watch. It's gonna be a difference. You know what I'm saying? Because this guy, he gets it, and then your son gonna get to a point where it's like, okay, Dad, you don't understand me, or you not listening to me, and it's not that you're not listening to him or getting what he's saying. You don't understand it, so he's gonna always resonate back with the. It's a problem. That's why I say y'all had me. I'm on the fence right now because I
Oh
was
my
with.
gosh. Okay.
I told you, Wanda, I was with it. I was with you,
Why?
Wanda.
Why y'all keep muting me? Y'all want to hear what I got to say? Cause
You speaking. I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what's going. Y'all, you got a lot of wind going on in the background.
I'm still in the car.
But that's
And Fat, you muted. So if you, whatever you said, I can't hear
yeah. Outside of that one, you just had a lot of wind going in
you.
on the
Fat, you're
background.
muted, baby.
He's talking on. He's probably talking on another platform. But like I say, y'all had me on. So I was with because I spoke about my daughters, but like I said, Jig said that not being sons, that it was different. And now we had Jimmy come on. He speak about his son, spoke about his son, and it seemed like it was the same situation. But then y'all got speaking about how you know what I'm saying the influence, because that's what Jig was big on Tuesday. Jig was so big on influence, like I don't want no other my influence on my child should be the biggest thing and the most influential thing going forward in this child life. That's what Jig spoke about. And now tonight, hearing Jig speak, it's like he's not on that same realm. He's on more like now I'm not now I want to hear my son and say or hear my child speak and say, Dad, I done found something new and this is what it is. But it's still
Well,
coming from the
Because
same
it's all about influence,
yeah.
right?
Well,
but
and,
Because
it's still
power is fickle, but influence lasts forever,
but
right?
hold
that's what we were speaking on, like influence, and then it's still your son is still influenced. So like I said, you can watch 20 videos on YouTube on what your son is into now. I spoke about mechanics, Indy
yeah.
500 cars and stuff. You can watch 20 YouTube videos, and it's 100 different people on there with 100 different views. You see what I'm saying? But the only guy that you know that know this stuff is the X.
But like I was saying, at the end of the day, so my kids
Okay.
are going to be exposed to a ton of different things, right? But the initial influence for them to come to a decisive point or a decision, it should be influenced by me.
Yes, yes.
Change. That shit change.
Here's,
Right. You see
here's
what I'm
why.
saying?
But here's why.
Talk to us.
Here's why.
Talk to us. Talk to
Right.
us.
First off, I never take the approach to anything that I am the sum total of correction or the right thing.
Correct.
But
I
I
don't know
need
it
to
out, son. Right.
yeah,
I
I
got you.
need to be influenced because my kids have to be open minded. They have to be resilient. They have to be at the end of the day, I need my kids to know that they are powerful within themselves without having to be validated by something or somebody else.
So let's talk about the word influence,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because that's the business
Yeah,
I'm in.
that's a big
So
word.
and I think that's where the difference comes in, right? Like there's a difference between like influence and then experience, right?
Yeah.
And so I think my parenting philosophy was a little bit different, like especially for my wife's, right? Like my wife was like, "Oh, we can't tell the kids they can do drugs." Where I was like, "Hey, if y'all gonna do stupid shit, be smart about doing stupid
Yeah.
shit.
No.
Like, don't be smoking weed in a marijuana, or like, don't be smoking marijuana in like a McDonald's bathroom. Like, do
Right.
that shit behind a garage at your buddy's house, right?
At home.
Yeah.
And let me know what you're doing.
So that was
so
the
I
type
can
of parent I
counteract it.
was. But
That's
I
some
don't know.
different, man. We the last of a dying breed, though. I could tell you, bro. You probably like a you. Well, you got to be like a '90s baby. I mean, well, children, children
I'm a
wise.
70s baby, but
He's the
I'm talking
last.
about children. I'm talking about children wise. Like your
oh
children was
yeah,
probably
you know,
born.
and you're right. But I think as parents, right, like when we talk about influence, I don't think we necessarily influence them. It's more of a steering, right?
We don't. We don't.
That's it.
Yeah, correct. You're right. You're right.
Steering and guiding, right? Like
Yeah.
we help our kids get along this path. Now, and I'll say
But
this.
that's an influence.
Well,
Is
That's
it?
that
So,
is an
so
influence.
give me your your split,
so here's
right?
the split, right?
Yeah.
Like, you need to be a Republican. Like, abortion is wrong.
Hold on.
Saying
No,
shit, like saying shit like no, hold on, saying shit
no.
like that, right? Is like
I
that,
tell you, he done.
that's influencing.
That's
by like saying
power.
I believe that, like I believe, right? Like
I think
as
that's
a
a
parent.
control.
No. I believe, like,
That's
if I'm
control.
a child and I'm telling you, here are the things that I believe, here are the things that I hold value in, right? These are the things, like, I believe that bank robbery is wrong, which I mean, I do, but like, saying those type of things in that type of way versus here is the facts. And based on these facts,
Right.
these are the decisions that I make.
Sure.
Right. So when you like to like you and what you and Flo, I think what Flo was getting at, right? I get his point, right? Like, I don't want my kid hanging out with some other dude I don't know because I'm the man of the house. I'm his father. Like, I get that feeling of like kind of wanting to have that control of like steering my kid, but we have to keep in mind these are individual human beings.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
Have to try to
Kids don't get corrupted to the parents corrupt them.
exactly. And so like it's tough because like while I believe that, like I said earlier, what happens between a woman and her doctor is her business.
Yeah, we're talking about that. Yeah.
And it's funny because like I have these beliefs, right? And my children will come to me and they'll ask me a question based on my experience, my education. Like my son,
That's what it is right there. Our
just
experiences.
like,
That's what corrupts our kids is our experiences.
No,
Because
but
I didn't mean to cut you off. I
it's
didn't mean to cut you
our
off, Nate.
experience
I mean,
bias.
Jimmy. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Experience
Our
bias.
experience corrupts our kids because it's biased. You know what I'm saying? What we went through with a person is not the same situation that our kids would go through, but we prepare our kids to go through that same situation, and it's
and
bad.
you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. However, in my experience as a parent, right? Like when my son has asked me stuff about like politics, right? Like,
Sure.
hey,
Mhm.
Donald Trump just got charged with like 17 felonies in Georgia.
91.
Right? Well,
I'm sorry. I just my bad. I went
like,
my bad.
This is
I got happy
a literal
for a second. My apologies. My apologies.
But a literal conversation that my son has had with me, right? Like, hey, like, do you think that this is a thing? And I said, well, hey, based on what I know of how the criminal justice system works and how the Justice Department in the United States works, right? Like, I would say that I like the executive
How old is
branch.
your son again? How old is your son again?
He's
21.
24.
Yeah.
So
He's an adult. Yeah.
he's an adult, but
Right.
he no college experience, right? So like, but he'll ask me these questions.
Man.
So
He's a man. Yeah.
Based on what I know of how the United States
God
government works.
I think we've done it again. I'm sorry. Give me a second. Go ahead. I'll come back to that point.
But what I do is I then tell him like, hey, here's my experience. Here's what my opinion is.
Mm-hmm. That's what we corrupt. That's what we corrupt our kids at.
So give me a second, right? I'm going to use $5
It's not
word.
bad. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's bad at all because it's based off of what we done went through, and it's not necessarily what our fathers done went through, our they grandparents done went through or whatnot. But it's a situation of where we are parenting at that situation at that time and at that moment. You know what I'm saying? So it's a situation where we done went through, as opposed to so we trying to prepare them for life as we saw it. You know what I'm saying? As a parent. And that's all. It ain't bad. It's not bad, but it's
It's
what
not.
we do.
So again, I'm gonna use a $25 word for our, and I'm not trying to minimize what we're talking about. I'm just simply trying to bring it down to a certain point so we can begin to continue to speak at a certain platform. So I think we're moving there's a feeling of a totalitarianistic aspect of parenting that I'm not actually interjecting into the actual conversation, right? Because I'm not giving a full authoritative definition to parenting, right? So when I say influence, it's very much so. Hey, look, this is how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And but now these are the facts about it.
Yeah.
This is how I feel about it. These are the facts. My
They're
feelings
not
don't
facts.
always
They're not
line up.
necessary facts because they based off your
Yeah.
experience. So,
And
That's
I'm
how I
telling
feel.
you this, and this comes with the experience and everything else, right? This, I'm telling you, and this is what I do with my kids. I'm telling you all this so that you can come up to your own
Exactly.
conclusion.
And that's what I do with
correct,
my
correct.
Here's the facts. Here's my opinion.
Yes.
This is what I believe.
Yes.
But here
Right.
is what is true based on how the system is supposed to work.
Mm-hmm.
Do what you want with that fucking information.
And that's
And at
influence.
the end of the day, we all
It's
know our
That's
jobs.
not influence.
because
End of
power
the day,
and
it is
control.
an influence. It's,
Not influence.
That's influence. So
No.
Dirt and I,
So okay, so let me
me
ask
and
you this:
Dirt, me,
if that's influence,
hold on, let me tell you the story. Let me tell you the
if
story real
that's
quick.
influence,
Go ahead,
right?
go ahead.
So let me just
All right.
use that as an example.
Yeah.
The Nazis killed 40 million Jews, right?
they
During
were
World War.
influenced. They were influenced.
This is what we know.
Sure.
They killed 40 to 60, maybe 100 million Jews during World War II
Mhm.
because they thought that they were purifying the Aryan race.
Sure.
Right.
I think that might have been a good decision. But
Wait, what are we talking about now?
in
No,
international that was wrong.
and that's what I'm saying. That was taught in the household. That was
That's-
hatred taught in the household. So influence. It's influence. At the end of the day, they were influenced. Go ahead, Jay.
Give me a second because I got to tell this quick story, and we've been on for an hour and 11 minutes. So here's the difference, and this is how I explain this, Dirt. So me and Dirt,
that was shitty. That I will admit that was a shitty
it
example.
was
By the way,
No. It's on your mind. It will resonate with you. You're a war guy. You're a war guy. You're a history guy. It will resonate with you. So you know what I'm saying. We got you. You know what I'm saying.
So Dirt and I, we spent some time on this. We was in South St. Louis at our uncle crib, Wanda's dad, and we were having an argument. It was an argument over power and influence, right?
Right.
And my descriptions and definitions
Police
were,
pulled up on us that day.
yeah, they were different. Motherfuckers called the cops on us because Dirt and I, we will get in heated. We can get in heated like discussions and debates and arguments.
One that's outside on Elk Crib.
Be honest, they call police because y'all is black.
No, we was in South St. Louis.
No, we were loud and
I'm fucking with you.
And people thought we was getting aggressive with each other.
Yeah.
But we are both passionate dudes, right? So we on our squares talking our shit, right? And so what I was saying is influence, right? So power is very, very fickle. And you can understand power because power is an absolute. I'm saying this so you do it without the why.
right.
Influence gives the why and explains and allows you to make your own decision.
Well, I will concede that.
That's the first time I ever heard Jimmy concede anything because we don't debate too often. But
but I will say this: growing up, right? I think and I'm only going from my experience,
sure,
right?
Yeah.
So in my experience, growing up,
so anecdotal on the Family Bloodline
right?
podcast is real.
I have had same situations happen with positive and negative male influences in my life, right?
Yeah.
Like here's what I know, here's my experience, blah, right? My dad was a stereotypical Chicago Italian racist, right? I looked at that and I was like, no, that's fucking wrong. And I didn't do that. But then I looked at my grandfather who left Nazi Germany, right? Mm-hmm. Came to the United States, tried to get in the United States. You know, my great grandfather left Nazi Germany, tried to get in the United States Army. My grandfather fought for the United States, right? Like, saw that, like, and he was like, no, everybody is equal. Like, that's what the Constitution of the United States says, right? Like, those are the things he was preaching, right? He didn't say that this is what I believe. He was like, this is the fact, right? It wasn't an influence. He was saying, this is what the law of the land states. Where my dad was like, I think these people are less.
Yeah.
And I looked at my dad, who's my
coming from
fucking
the same household, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
like living
Yeah.
with this dude, and I'm like, fuck that guy. This dude's talking shit, right? Like my grandpa, who's telling me like I fought, against all this other bad shit that was going on. Like this is what the law of the land states, right? And so this is what I did because this is what is right.
Yeah.
So I think that when you talk about influence, I think if you tell your kids like this is what right looks like, here's my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
This is what right looks like. Do what you want.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's necessarily influencing. I think that if you look at your kids and are like, this is right, this is what right looks like.
So
but I don't think maybe that's right, really. Like this is what the law states, but I don't think really
That's all
is.
that's all they know. So if that's all they know,
I run
how
upstairs.
is that not an influence?
Take the
You
headphones.
see what I'm saying?
So you can hear
Huh?
what
So I was just saying, if that's all they know, how is that not influence? That's they right to passes. You know what I'm saying? That's they right to the world. They don't know no better.
I mean, I mean, yes and no, right? Like it's tough
Talk to me.
because as a parent, you,
Uh-huh.
again, I tried to be as objective as possible, right? Like I was the dude who was like, if you want to
I
smoke
get
weed, right? Like
you.
if you do this shit, just be smart about it. I never wanted to be like, you should vote. Like, so I think when you tell your kids you should do this, you should do that. This is right. This is
Right.
wrong. That's influence. But if you say like, hey, I
So
believe
what if
this.
you just do what you do, and you, so if you do what you do, say say you Democrat, and you go vote Democrat every time, and your kid asks like, why do you vote like this? Be like, because these people do this, these people do this, they do this. That's how I feel. That's your influence on your child. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that you right or wrong. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that you right, but you are telling your child at that moment and that point. Go ahead.
So I think there you're talking more of a passive influence, right? So like we'll use the 2016 election as a perfect example.
Oh God.
So like
that was rough.
I hate Hillary Clinton. Hate her.
Agreed.
And I hate Donald Trump. Hate him, right?
What?
But and I told my kids this story, right? Like I was talking to a guy in my unit, and he asked me, he's like, well, like he's like Donald Trump's the guy. I'm like, hold on a minute. I'm like, why wouldn't you vote for Hillary Clinton? And he's like, well because she doesn't stand for anything. I said, regardless
You
of
got
that, I'm
email out her. She cheat.
like,
Benghazi.
well, no, hold on.
I'm
I
just
said,
talking shit. Go ahead. Go ahead.
That's your argument.
Don't, don't listen
Benghazi
to me.
is your argument. So
Don't
we're
listen to me. I'm just talking shit. Don't listen to
like
me.
when it came down to the election, right? I was like, here's the deal. Like, I hate both of them.
right.
But ultimately,
Right. They both fucking suck.
as an independent, right? If you take away Benghazi
choose freedom.
and the emails, and you take away the pussy grabbing and all the other stupid shit,
It was broken.
Who is more qualified?
Dude.
Who is more qualified to be the
Not
president of the United States? Donald Trump or Clinton, based on their resume, not on anything, not on anything else.
Yeah,
Just
she was more qualified, but like I say, as a union worker, I'm a union laborer, like I told y'all. As a union laborer, Trump solidified so much in a landscape as St. Louis alone, as opposed to he was a businessman. So
I think we're about to get on.
so I look at it as the business aspect I vote. I'm a Democrat. I vote Democrat.
Hold on. I think that's a different conversation for another time that we can.
Okay, go ahead, G. Go ahead, G. Go ahead, G.
Which one of these
Right.
drinks is mine?
Final thoughts. Final thoughts.
First one you get. We gotta
We
switch
at final
chairs.
thoughts?
We gotta switch.
Oh yeah, switch.
Yeah.
Final thoughts. Final thoughts.
Wait, is this your drink?
Fucking talk.
It's late. It's late.
Shit, I drank
Talk.
the drink.
That's all right. We can be doing
Let's
this all night, man.
fucking talk.
Yeah, why not? You ain't got to drive tomorrow. I don't either. All I'm doing is fucking cooking tomorrow. So great time for me.
Drive wherever I need to drive. I live in Kentucky. No laws.
I don't know where that's
How far
going.
away is that? How far away is Kentucky?
Right now,
Laws in Kentucky, bitch.
final thoughts are very different from what you just did. I don't know where you are, what level you at, but final thoughts is I will tell you. So
Okay,
final
what's the
thoughts.
final
Final
thoughts?
thoughts
We're talking about
is
Final thoughts. Talk to him, G.
Children or real life?
Well,
Children or real life? Draw the
Explain
line.
to him what final thoughts is, G.
yeah. So final thoughts are. It's not just simply boiled down to the topic that we're having tonight. It's boiled down to what you as a human can actually push out to society. If tonight was your last night on Earth and you had a few seconds left and you had to sum that shit up right now.
I wouldn't be something. I'd be smashing something.
Well, no, Jimmy.
No, Jimmy, calm down.
Damn it, man. It's
Jimmy,
so hard.
calm
I'm
down.
so sorry. I'm so
Final
sorry.
thoughts, Jimmy.
Final thoughts.
You got to think with the other head, Jimmy.
Jimmy, final thoughts. Final thoughts.
So I'll say this. Ultimately, if you're a father and you can't get past your own shit to allow your
You only
kid.
got 2 minutes, Jimmy. You only got 2 minutes because
Okay, sorry.
you
So
like Jig. Y'all to go for about 20. Y'all go about 10 minutes monologue.
I'll give you a quick 20-second summary. So if you're a father and you can't get past your own shit to allow your kids to have a positive experience with other positive influences, then fuck you. Like, I mean, but again, I can't invalidate somebody else's feelings, right? I'll just leave it at that.
All right. Patra, final thoughts. Get your shit together. Get your life together. Like real quick. You got about 10 seconds. 10 seconds.
Talk to the good people.
Final thoughts.
All right, to summarize the whole child situation.
Yes.
Those
No,
siblings outlive you.
It's your final thoughts. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about. It's your final thoughts.
Look, you need to raise your kid to understand that their choices outweigh their lifetime. My choices outweigh my lifetime, which influence that child's choices and actions in the future. So how I live my life is going to be reflected in how that child lives his life. So what I choose to do, he's going to notice, she's going to notice, and that's how they're going to live their life. And that's what really matters. So what I want to see in the future is going to be reflected in how they choose to live their life in the future. Period. And I need to make sure
that was it. That is it. We can't go ahead.
I need to make sure that what I show them through my actions, it doesn't matter what I tell them. I can sit down with them every day of the fucking week, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and say like, oh, blah, 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 live your life this way. It doesn't matter. They're going to pay attention to how I'm physically living my life. And they literally do pay attention to how I'm physically. They don't listen to a fucking word I say to them. They look at how I live my life. And if I'm living my life the way that I'm proud of, they will reflect that in the next 30 to 45 years, which is what actually fucking matters in the real world. So as long as I can make those decisions and give them the autonomy to live their life the way that they choose, regardless of how their siblings are choosing,
How are you speaking?
they're gonna know. Because if that child is with me, regardless of how many stepchildren, whatever, like I get it. Siblings are important. I have siblings, they have siblings. I don't know their relationship with their siblings, but I know my relationship with my siblings. And the way I live my life is reflected with my siblings, 30 to 45 years old. And it's reflective on their siblings.
Insane.
12 to
Right. Insane. Drop the mic. I was writing some notes and I had just dropped my pen in notes in the scene. You hear me? Go ahead,
Gotcha.
Wanda. What you got to say, Queen?
Thank you. What you
I
got?
had to drop
First,
my
Wanda,
pen.
for you, before you go, I'm so happy to see you. Thank you for being like live right now. I'm happy to see you. Miss
Thanks
you, cousin.
for being here, Wanda.
Yeah, we miss you.
All right. Well, first of all, hey guys. I apologize for my tardiness. I was at my high school's homecoming game tonight. Shout out to Rockwood Summit Falcons for whooping Oakville 49-7. Yes, they killed it. Also, it was great seeing a lot. It was great seeing a lot of friends tonight. That was cool. But on our topic that we were having, I just hope that we all know that we are our children's first influence, regardless of who they are with, and we just gotta hope that what we instilled in them is what they put out into the world, and also that nobody could ever take your place if you're doing your job correctly. Your influence is your influence on your child. And also, so that's all I'm gonna say about that. So as always, guys, please do not forget to brush and floss at least twice a day. It's so important. Oral health is overall health, okay? And that's from your podcast favorite homegirl, Wanda. Those are my final thoughts.
Thank you, Wanda. So before I get mine, Nate, let's get yours. Oh, give me a second. Go ahead.
We're still talking about children and
No, we're talking about your final thoughts. So our final thoughts.
I seen Nate Dogg up there. My bad.
Yeah, he's been in the background just listening.
I've been over there.
So when we do final thoughts, it's the cumulative event, right? If you were the last things that you did in life
Talk
right
your
now.
shit, man.
Oh, she playing with
You
the
know
dog.
what I'm saying? What's on your heart?
You could
You know what
say.
I'm saying? Get it off your chest. Get off your chest, like Kevin Hart say. Get off your chest.
If I could give this message
One
to
more
your
thing, Fat. One more
Go
thing.
ahead, Wanda. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That was cool.
I just want to say, this melanin is popping today. It's the water and the Dove soap and the cocoa butter. I just got
I
to
love it.
say
I
that the
love it.
melanin is popping today.
You
But,
better.
you know, continue to what you were doing.
My forehead always shine, but other than
Hey,
that,
melanin is popping today.
So when it comes to final thoughts, it's like where you are in the moment, where you are today. You know, you gather everything that you've had up throughout your life, and you are at this focal point.
I get twisted.
Kids, you want to leave to anybody else that could ever hear your voice. These are our final thoughts. These are
get it
our.
off, Nate.
This is it. And
Get
think
it
like
off, Nate.
you don't have to make shit up.
No, I'm
Get
You
it
don't have
off,
to
Nate.
sound colloquial. This is where you are
it's
right
still
now.
off the conversation that we were talking about. Mine
Sure.
No. It's not about the conversation. It's about
If
your
he want
final
his
thought.
final thoughts
It's
to be
about your
about the
final.
conversation,
No,
let
that's
his
You
final thought be about the conversation.
He's
right.
that's where he is. That's what
So
he want to
that's where
give.
it's
If
at,
his final
Nate.
thought want to be about the
If
conversation,
you
let
want to
that be
talk
his
about the
final thought.
conversation, if you want to talk about final thoughts that you got going on personally or in the world that you see, it's your word. Final
Yeah,
thoughts. You could speak on anything you want to talk about on final thoughts.
absolutely.
I am so hungry.
Hey, this real life, baby. This is a Family Bloodline podcast. That's where we are. Go ahead, Nate. It's all you, baby.
All right. Listening to everybody's arguments and everything and opinions like made me think a lot because I'm dealing with a lot of the same stuff that we were talking about tonight.
Talk your shit, Nate.
I'm good with like as long as it's a positive influence on my kid's life, I don't care. If it's not my influence, I don't care. I want a positive influence on my kids. So if wanting to be with my, I'm good with it. As long as it's a positive influence, not a negative influence. As long as it's not corrupting them, I don't care, because I know I'm not a perfect person. Right. And I want my kids to have a better life than I did.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be selfish and be like, no, they need to have my same thoughts and feelings, because I know I'm not perfect at all.
Is that all you want to say, or you?
Yeah,
wanna...
that's the main thing that I took from this whole conversation tonight. Yeah. That's why I sat off to the side and listened to everybody's arguments and opinions. Right. It takes me a while to digest everything.
Gotcha. No, we appreciate everything. Right. We appreciate it.
I mean,
I'm not a.
And if y'all need a token white guy.
Yeah, absolutely. So I will give my final thoughts. Oh, that's Jimmy. Jimmy.
Yo.
I love this dude, man.
If y'all need a token white guy, I mean, like I'm as white as they get, bro.
So my final thoughts, right? And as usual, and very always as similar. First off, I give a round of applause to that was in the comments. We definitely appreciate y'all. We definitely appreciate our followers throughout on multiple different platforms across the world, because this is a worldwide platform. So, with that being said, at the end of the day, right, my hope is because this is actually a parental conversation. And my hope is that parents, be it 2, 3, or 4, that are involved with rearing these children, can put themselves aside and actually do the best thing for the kids. That's the most important part. I can honestly say that from a certain perspective, there was ego involved. Absolutely, there was ego, right? No ifs, ands, or buts. And I can concede that point. But I also love my kids. I love my kids past death. I love my cousins, my little cousins. I love both my first cousins and my little cousins, my second cousins, or whatever the case may be, past death. And I will always do any and everything that I can for them. I love my friends to the same point. Maya and her kids, I love them past the point of death into reincarnation so that we can do and be better. So I just simply hope we take the time to understand and remember where we were at the age of the kids who have to go through this, and can actually identify with that and be at that level so we can do better and be better. It's just like I say on every podcast that we have, at the end of the day, give a little more mercy, a little more grace, and sprinkle that with copious amounts of love, so we can be that, right? That's who we are. Go ahead, Cuzzo. You broke up a little bit, Dirt. Oh, that's one of the first times Dirt froze up. I've never seen that. Family Bloodline podcast. But remember what Wanda said, brush and floss twice a day, because I just had my teeth clean. I just wanted to let you know that, Wanda. I got my teeth clean.
Congrats.
Great. My teeth are great.
I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah, my teeth are.
That's what I'm talking about.
I was thinking about
that's what I like to hear. I love that.
Oh, Jimmy got to tell you something.
Are you a dental hygienist?
No,
well, I mean, I didn't know if you were in the medical field. If you can tell me this rash that's spreading real quick.
No, it's not. No, we're not listening to Jimmy.
Dental only, my love. Dental only.
So,
dental only.
In the wise words of Russell Simmons, thank y'all for coming out. Yes. God bless and
good night.
Good night.